Three.
fly, when you take off, and the feeling you get in your heart, the sense of pride you have, like it is a worth living moment, and that is such a beautiful moment. And I've always dreamt of becoming a pilot. And I'm very, very, very passionate of, getting into the flying branch in any of the forces.
Jai Hind everyone. Today I have Siddhi with me. Siddhi recently got recommended. Siddhi, could you please tell from which entry you got recommended?
Sure. I got recommended from NCC Special Entry for OTA October course.
That you have played it in your first attempt. So, could you please share your experience of SSB with me? How do you perform different tasks? How do you prepare for it?
Right. So last year, I had my vacations before my placement. Like I am an engineering student,
Okay.
so already we have our placements in final year. So I had this 2 weeks of gap from coming from third year to final year.
Hmm.
So I went to AFPA, that is Armed Forces Preparatory Academy. And I went there completely raw. Like I did not have any knowledge about the procedure. I just
Okay.
knew that we have some screening process and then it is regarding conference and everything, but I did not have any kind of experience regarding how the things go, what is GTO, what all comes in GTO. So I got that idea from AFPA basically. And after that, I did not have any SSB. Like it was just for utilizing my vacations. Like even there, sir asked me that you don't have any SSB, so how you remember the things you have been taught over here. So I made some notes. I had the book of Commander Natarajan, and through that, when I had my SSB in July, I came to know that about in last week of May. And I had one friend of mine who had his SSB very near to me. So I found one partner we can study together. We can practice psychology tests, and as well as for the PPDT, like in the way we give the narration
Uh,
and the discussion also. So I found that one person I can study with, and I used to prepare my current affairs from reading newspapers every day. I've never read newspapers before in my life, but I came to know that it is the best way. You can
yeah.
you can come across the news, whatever is going
Yeah.
in and
Yeah.
around you, and that actually helped me a lot in my SSB,
Hmm.
especially in my GTO.
Yeah.
So since it was my first attempt and I'm very passionate of joining the defense forces, I just concluded one thing after my recommendation, that people normally think that go for the first time, we'll gather some experience, then we'll come back, study, and then go again. But if you are prepared for your very first attempt, even if you make some minor mistakes, there are chances that you being a fresher, they can,
Yeah.
overlook your some of the mistakes.
Exactly.
So since it was a direct entry, I was very scared because the reporting itself is 300 plus. And in
Ho-
spite of being
How
300 plus
many?
entry,
Yeah. How many of you got screened in out of this 300?
44 got screened in. And in freshers, we were 138 who reported, and only seven of the freshers were screened in.
Screened.
So, like my chess number was 21, and we had a discussion group of 22. Like I went to AFPA, I knew that the discussion group will be of 10,
10.
15,
Okay.
max
Yes.
to max 18.
80.
So I was like, okay, I'll come in the second group. I'll get some time to
Hmm.
prepare my story in the mind, whatever I've written. But the first group itself consisted of 22, and I got that very disadvantageous place, second last, where you did not get that focus when you
Yes.
participate in discussion.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a group of 22, and I knew that I have to give my narration very well. So I had this one chance of proving myself in the start itself. So I prepared my story. Everyone was discussing that what story you have made, what story you have made. You get time from your story to your discussion.
Yeah.
Like you get
Exactly.
5 to 10 minutes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what you can do is, what I did was, I kept the rewinding my story in my mind,
Hmm.
what I have written, how I should start, to have that kickstart in front of the assessors, and being very bold and confident. I always knew that confidence is one thing that can pull you in your screening. So I gave my narration very well. Like I was very flawless in my narration. So I was pretty sure that I can get screened in on the
Screened.
basis of my narration. because it is a direct entry. You know that it is a group of 22. So to portray yourself in discussion, it will be very tough. So hardly you can give 2 to 3 points.
Mm.
And assessors, you never know that, who they'll select and what they can come out with whatever points you have given in the discussion.
Even two
You
to
know
three
that you
points are
prepare.
much. Even in a
Yeah,
group of 22, 2 to 3 points are very much.
exactly.
It's
And
more than enough.
also, right. And normally, how PPTT goes that in the discussion, you come to a common conclusion story,
Yeah.
and then one of you narrates it. But in our case, it was not the same. We were divided into two groups. One
Uh,
group was told to discuss for 2 minutes, another group was told to discuss for 2 minutes, and then we were told to stand up and leave the room. So we did not come to any conclusion. No one made a conclusion story, no one gave the narration.
it
So we were like,
happens. It happens in
yeah.
direct entries. It
Right, right. So after that, it took very long to finalize the results and declare
exactly.
declaration of the results.
Mhm.
So out of those 22, only I was screened in. Rest all were screened out. So I
It's
felt
an
pretty bad
amazing.
because
It's very
yeah,
amazing thing.
yeah, it was good, but only 7 freshers out of 140 who reported. It feels very bad. I had some of my friends who got screened out.
How many total of
But
you got recommended after that?
we were seven of them who got recommended out of 44.
Seven
So
recommendation.
seven
It's
recommendations.
very good number.
Exactly.
It very
So
good number.
after that, we had the next day we had our psychology tests. And on the same day, I had my interview. Luckily, like
Okay.
it is good if you're having your interview on the second day itself.
Okay, for
You get
psychology, Siddhi, you have prepared for it before, like you have practiced for it.
right. I practiced all of my SSB. I started from PPDT. I used to do two PPDTs every day, one in the morning, one at night. After my PPDT, I used to do psychology tests in a staggered manner. Like if I'm doing VAT today, I'll do TAT tomorrow, SRT the next day, and the self description I had prepared. Like I made it in AFPA, and sir gave me some of the changes. He told me how can I make it better. So I worked on it. I took my parents' opinion about me. I took my friends' opinion about me, and whatever opinions they gave, I
Hmm.
made a very very true self description about me. Like my weaknesses were written over there, and my PIQ was prepared already. Like I made my PIQ from here itself,
Hmm.
and I went to Lava. So those two things I did. And for GTO, I did not do any practice except for lecturing. Like I prepared my current affairs from newspaper, and there are some topics like Indo-Pak,
Hmm.
Indo-China, the US. So that topics I took down the points from YouTube. So I
Okay.
made rough like rough paragraph. I can recollect the points if I get some geopolitical topic.
Okay,
So I was
Siddhi,
very aware.
yeah, I would like to ask a question here. We will discuss GTO in later part. The question is basically first we will discuss the psychology part. So my first
Right.
question is, you have practiced for TAT, VAT, SRT. Okay. So in TED, generally we feel a lot of pressure there. Like a picture is coming and we need to write a story in 4 minutes, and then immediately the next picture will come up, and this will continue up to the 12th picture. So how your practice help in you in your TED, VET and SRT, and how will you suggest us to practice for these? Whether we practice it in groups or alone is sufficient.
Okay. So, see, psychology test, you get around 2 hours when you're going for a
Uh,
SSB. Like it is in a continuous manner. But what I did was that when I was practicing for PPDT, so I had a huge number of stories, like in Natarajan sir's book also, then on Google also. Like I used to type if like that and PPDT stories. So I used to practice story writing and didn't learn any of the story. And none of the stories were repeated either in my PPDT or in my TAT. But I had that practicing of writing the stories in 4 minutes, like 30 seconds of seeing and 4 minutes of writing. So what I did was, I and my one of my friend who practiced together, we had this very strict rule of sticking to the time. Like we used to put our timer and we used to practice through that way. So in TAT, we had this very common statement of starting the main character's name, the age, and his or her profession. So since in my SSB, all the pictures were regarding related to the ladies itself. Like the main character was a
Oh,
female.
yeah.
So if I'm selecting a name, I had some of very common names in my mind, Seema, or like modern as well as new names. Because if you start from Sita and everything, so they'll come to know that he or she has just portrayed a name that is very old. So we were told this in AFPA that you should write some names which are realistic in life. So I used to write Seema or Lena or something like that. And after that, the 4 minutes you get for writing, you never know how 4 minutes will come to an end. But if you're having a very fast habit and if you have practiced it very nicely, so you can easily do that in given amount of time. So that everyday practicing of PPTT helped me in my TAT also. And then coming to VAT, I attempted 58 VAT out of 60. So while I had this, set of presentation of slides
Hmm.
where some words were written already, the way they are shown in SSB only. So I had this pen drive of it, and I used to, just start it, and in 15 seconds the words would change. So I used to practice with putting the timer itself, because practicing with time helps you in your SSB.
Hmm.
If you are finding the time sufficient in your practice, then no doubt that you will find it sufficient in your SSB also. So some of the words which had, like, for example, give is a word which used to take a lot of time for me to make some good sentence, quality sentence.
Gift.
So some of the sentences I learned, like if give is the sentence, I'll write giving is a virtue, which is a very positive sentence as well as
Exact.
a quality sentence. Because if you're writing very basic statements, so that everyone does. But like for example, if you are having victory, so the immediate statement would come in my mind was India achieved victory in 1971 war. So some of the statements, while practicing, got so fixed in my mind that when in my VAT in my SSB it was shown, I had this very habit, like, yeah, I know the statement, I'll make it. And two, VAT also I left because I was not aware about the meaning of the two words, or else I would have attempted them also. So practicing with the time helped me a lot. Then coming to SRT, I did only
And
43
yeah,
SRTs.
before this, yes, Siddhi, I would like to say AFA itself has posted 4 sets of W80s in their YouTube channel. So you guys can go there and
Okay.
practice there itself as well.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely, definitely. Like one of my friend who got recommended before, he's currently training in academy. So he gave me a set of presentations, which if you'll start presenting the slides, it will automatically change in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So he gave me that set, and I used to practice it with that presentation only. So that helped me a lot.
Okay, now you
And
are
coming
talking
to
about
SRT,
SRT. Yes, SRT.
yeah, coming to SRT, I attempted only 43 SRTs because already I found SRTs very bored, very bored. So I thought that 30 minutes are there, I'll do it. Because while I was preparing, also I was very lenient regarding SRT. So I knew that we should, being on a safer side, we should attempt 45 plus SRTs.
Hmm.
But I thought that solving 43, 45 is good. Like if you're, portraying some good thoughts in your SRT, like whatever reactions are coming in your mind, and if it is good, so that doesn't matter the number of SRTs you do, because there were friends of mine who have got recommended and have only attempted 33 SRT, 30 SRT, 35 SRT. But they become a borderline case. You score less marks over there. So there
Yes,
comes a
exactly.
problem of merit. Yeah. So if you're doing 40 plus SRTs, it is good. And the responses should be good, of course. Because quality definitely matters over
Matter.
there. If you're,
Exactly.
giving very, very vague or, very general responses, then it doesn't count. So I thought that quality should be there. So that was about my SRT and self-description. So I had the keywords in my mind. So I prepared itself.
Yeah.
Like I wrote
Yep.
it on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most of the student candidates prepared it from home, and it is good as
True
well.
that. Right.
It's
Right.
okay. Okay, let's come to the interview part, Siddhi. First,
Sure.
okay, let's conclude. I conclude to the psychology part. So, what Siddhi is saying, practice is necessary, and practice is the key for the psychology test, which most of the recommended students or candidates have said. on this platform. Second thing, Siddhi, let's come to the interview. So how long your interview?
See, honestly, I did not know the time because there was no clock in my waiting room,
Hmm.
and there was no clock in the interviews room, which I would have seen. Like it would have been behind me or somewhere. I was told to report at 3:30 p.m. My interview got started at 4:15. We did not have our watches or anything. But the candidate who was after me,
Uh,
she told that my interview was 25 to 30 minutes. So I thought, yeah, like if you're sitting inside, you never know how the time will pass.
hmm.
So I feel that my interview was 30 to 40 minutes. So I am not aware about the exact time. Like it was not very long and not very short also. Like very moderate time,
Okay.
amount of time.
How was it like? What
Yeah.
type
So
of
like,
questions you are being asked there?
right. So everyone knows that, there is a PIQ form we need to fill. So the interviewer already has your PIQ form in his hands. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he'll keep it seeing,
Mm.
or he'll, mark something if you're
Yeah, yeah,
saying something.
exactly.
So first of all, he told me to sit, and he was already aware whatever I've written in my PIQ.
Mhm.
So he started with the questions, rapid fire questions regarding my education, like from where I did my 10th, 12th, and my college. So he started with it. He asked me regarding how the finances of my education have been done.
Mm.
Then what all problems I face and who are my friends. So whenever he was asking me the rapid fire questions, I knew that it follows a basic path like your education, your friends in your education, and your finances. So it was not very difficult for me to answer it. Then he came to my background. Like since I come from a defense background, my father
Mm.
was in Air Force, my grandfather was in Indian Army. So he came to my background and he asked me regarding the service of my background, like
Mm.
my father, my maternal grandfather, as well as my grandfather. So he was basically interested in knowing that what in which branches they have worked and for how many the period service. So I was very aware, like I prepared because I knew that if I am coming from a defense background, he'll definitely grill me on my background. Like
Exactly, yeah.
your father has done. My father was an airman and he was a missile fitter. So I already talked to him that what all missiles you have used and what all missiles are used in Indian Air Force. So I was prepared regarding the missiles also, their working also. Then, since my grandfather was in Indian Army and he was in Army Service Corps, so I was aware about what all work he has done in Service Corps and what is the work of Army Service. He pretty grilled me on this part, and then he shifted to my mother. Like, since we have come from a COVID era of 2 years, so he asked me that how I, spent time with my mom and what my mother does. And she's a teacher since 26 years. So he talked about what all schools she was in, and where all she has got posted along with my maternal grandfather. Then how I spent time with her in the COVID time.
Mm.
After my family, he shifted to NCC. So since I have got promoted, the rank I was holding, and all the events I have organized, so he asked me that. Then he came to current affairs. He was very aware that I'm very thorough with the current affairs. If he'll ask me one thing about the news, I'll be very confident in answering it. So he did not grill me on the current affairs. He did not ask me at all that tell me some three national news or three international news. In fact, everyone in my board was asked this similar question by the commandant or deputy president or president. My interview was taken by the deputy president.
Mm.
So he did not ask me one question regarding current affairs. In my PIQ, aviation was written in interests. Aviation, cycling, and so- singing or something
In
like that.
interest, or what have you written in
Uh,
hobby, Siddhi?
Hobbies and interests is one section, now.
Yeah, yeah.
So in hobbies and interests, I wrote aviation, cycling, and singing was there, I guess.
Okay.
So he was not interested in cycling and singing. He was only interested in aviation.
Yeah.
So he came to aviation, and since I come from Air NCC,
Mhm.
so I've flown the aircraft. So he was very interested in knowing that what aircraft I've flown and the time of my sorties I've completed, the number of sorties I have completed, and with whom I have flown. So he asked me that, and then he asked me the distance of my unit from my place. Then again, he came to Russia-Ukraine war. That since aviation was written in my entrance,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was aware about the current affairs, so he asked me that what role has air defense played in Russia-Ukraine war. So I told him very beautifully that how air defense has participated in
Yes,
Russia-Ukraine
exactly.
war.
Hmm.
Then he came to my engineering, that why I chose engineering. Then what are the ways girls can join defense? He asked me about the branches that are in Indian Army. And since I come from Air Squadron, he was very interested in knowing that why I've given Army SSB. So I told him, sir, that I am an opportunist, and this was the first attempt I got. Like I'll be getting my AFSB in the month of Feb or March, and I was not able to clear my written exam. So this was the very first opportunity I could grab. So that's why I'm here. And then he came to again aviation. So he asked me that how India can, uh, better themselves in fighter jet systems or fighter aircrafts
Hmm.
or helicopters. So I told him that, and he basically was interested in knowing the relations of India and Russia in fighter
Hmm.
aircrafts. So I told him that, sir, since Sukhoi is originated from Russia, and we have very good relations with Russia, and we do so many military exercises with so many countries in the world. So we can very beautifully adopt the making of fighter aircrafts from Russian exercises. And since Atmanirbhar Bharat was also going on in that time,
Hmm.
so to create and generate employment opportunities in India, so that will be a made in Indian aircraft also, and opportunities for the ones who are very interested in making of the fighter aircrafts. They can very beautifully create employment opportunities under Atmanirbhar Bharat also, and that will be a very made in India movement, and that will be a very uh, that will be a moment for honor of us.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was pretty convinced with that answer. And then he came to my strengths and weaknesses. So I told him three of my strengths and two weaknesses. So in weaknesses, I told him, sir, I'm a bit aggressive and impulsive. But with time, I have overcome it, and now I respond before reacting. Like I'll think for some time and then I'll react. So then he asked me that, tell me the last person who argued with. So I told, okay, sir, it was with my mother. So he asked that what was the scenario, like why did you argue with her?
Hmm.
So I told, sir, I was an intern before, and interns are not allowed to take holidays or any leaves except for Sunday. And she had her summer vacations, and she wanted me to take leave and go, and my salary would have been cut for that time. And I was not at all interested in going for any summer vacation. So we had a fight regarding that, and I told that she's an independent woman and she doesn't need me or my father, to go and have a vacation. So I told her, and she had a very great vacation with herself. So it was, and she's looking forward for more vacations. So he was like, okay, that was good. Like it was a
Okay.
healthy argument.
Yeah.
And that's how my interview was summed up in this.
Okay. Yeah.
It was all about my
Even I am.
preparation.
Even I am convinced. Even I am convinced with your answer. So the interviewer is okay. Siddhi, one question I would like to ask. We have flown aircraft. So which aircraft have you flown?
Yeah, it was like NCC's allotted Virus SW microlight aircraft.
Okay.
And like in all the air NCCs which have this flying facility, you will find this aircraft. So I have flown it 4 times. So I
Okay.
was aware about the technical specifications of the aircraft as well.
Have you flown the aircraft alone as well?
No, 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 no. We are not allowed to fly it alone. We are
Okay.
allowed to fly it with our commanding officer. Like I flew it with my commanding officer.
Okay. What's the feeling from the side when you are in the sky? So when you look down, so what is the feeling?
That gave me goosebumps. Like I never had this experience in my whole life. Like when you fly, when you take off, and the feeling you get in your heart, the sense of pride you have. Like it is a worth living moment. And that is such a beautiful moment. And I've always dreamt of becoming a pilot. And I'm very, very, very passionate of, getting into the flying branch in any of the forces. So when I got this opportunity to fly an aircraft, that
Hmm.
too, that doesn't matter that if you're flying with your CO or alone. But that moment of holding the throttle and the joystick and reading the instruments and everything, that was beautiful.
It is a life full of thrill actually, है ना, फाइटर पायलट की लाइफ यार. एयर फोर्स में जाओ तो जस्ट गो फॉर द फाइटर पायलट, अदरवाइज एयर फोर्स में वो मज़ा नहीं है फिर बिना उसके.
Right.
Okay, let's come to the GTO part. Siddhi, as you know, I'm sure you are very well aware of the current affairs. So I think your performance in GD is exceptional. The first question of mine is, what are the topics you got in GD?
See, the first topic was related to the economic relations between Indo-US and Indo-Russia,
Hmm.
and how do they impact, and how Russia-Ukraine war impacted in the economy of
Uh,
current scenarios. So we were given three subparts to select,
hmm.
and the reasons behind it, but I don't exactly remember the three subparts. But the topic was related to itself, and so like I found that even if someone is not very aware about the current affairs, like everyone knows roughly what is going in and around the world. Like everyone currently knows that we had a Russia-Ukraine war. So if you're not aware about the topic, let some other person who's starting, let them start. Listen to what he or she has said. So you can gather, some points from them. Since I was aware about the topic, I did not have any problem. But some of my friends who were not aware, what they did was, like, I found this a very good quality. What they did was, they listened to some of us, like the first and the second candidate who spoke. They took out some points from them, and then after that they initiated and they participated in the GD very well. So this was the first topic. First topic is generally related to current affairs.
Hmm.
But when you're coming to the second topic, it is very, very general topic on which everyone can speak. Everyone will come to some of the other point. It was related to the national education policy and the impacts of it. Like the three topics were what will it result. So in that, every one of us could participate very well, very well. Like it was a very healthy discussion. You'll get if you're getting even one or two, instances to participate in it, you should do it. Like you should not sit idle, because in any case, everyone is sitting there to speak. So the very important part is to initiate and participate in the GD, like not to get scared and put your quality points. People normally become verbose in that. They keep speaking for 1 minute,
Hmm.
1.5 minutes. So keep your points very short and crisp, like very quality points and very crisp points. Like if you're participating, you'll speak for 40 seconds, you'll come back, so that your group can understand what you have spoken, and your points can be
Yeah, hello, yeah, Siddhi. We are talking about the command tasks. Means, what
right.
is the level of the command tasks you got there in SSB?
See, my command task was bomb diffusion one. So when I did AFPA, I was told this, that if you're getting this command task, the assessor is basically trying to see the level of intelligence, because he is in a state of recommending you. Like that is a confirmation status and confirmatory series. So when I was subordinate to 6 people out of 8. So
Hmm.
I knew all the command tasks people have got, and the level of command tasks they have got, be it easy to moderate to difficult. So they already knew that this girl has been called 6 times, and
Hmm.
she's very well aware of all the command tasks that have been taken place. So since I was chest number one, like my chest number was 18, but in my group I was the first one to do any of the tasks. But I was called at the last, like uh, first. They called it very randomly. They called the candidates very randomly, and I was called at last. So I knew that they already know that this girl has come 6 times, and she might have got tired helping so many people, because I was coming, sitting, and going back again. That was my part in the command task of other people. But when I was called, first of all, he knew everything what I've written in my psychology test. How was my self description? Then what all questions I've answered in my interview, because
Hmm.
he was aware about my name. He was aware about what all I've written in my PIQ. So his first question was that he asked me that should we stand in shade or sun. So Manika sir, whichever you prefer, I don't have any problem in any of them. So he said, okay, let's stand in shade. Then he asked me what energy sun gives. So I told sir, sun gives solar energy. He asked me then which vitamin. I said, it's a vitamin D. Then he came to that, Siddhi, I know that you want to become a pilot. Then why Indian Army? So I told that, sir, Indian Army has Army Aviation Corps. So he said that, but girls don't fly in Indian Army. And the sir, we have girls, and Captain Abhilasha Barak is a combat aviator who has got recently commissioned in flying branch. So he
Exactly,
came to
yes.
know that I'm aware about all the branches and who all are there in it. So he said that, okay, you're well aware. Then he asked me that you're from Air NCC. Then why Army? So I again told that, sir, I'm an opportunist. And this was the first SSB I got. So I did not want to leave any opportunity to get into defense. And serving from any of the forces doesn't matter. So then he was like, okay, let's come to the task. Then he explained the task. It was a blue line, blue circle. It was in a circle and it was a bomb
Uh,
diffusion one. He told me to
yeah.
call my subordinates. I called my subordinates, and then he reduced my 1 minute. Like he kept talking to me in my command task, like questions related to my engineering, then questions related to my family, questions related to myself. So that was a very engaged command task. Like I was talking to him also, and I was doing my task also. Because
Okay.
we were instructed that if the assessor is talking to you, you should, leave everything and you should stand and talk to him.
Yeah,
So we,
I know Siddhi, what is this? Your level of
yeah,
performance is so high in GD or GP or the whole group testing task.
yeah.
That's why you have given that much difficult tasks, where you are talking to him and simultaneously doing your task as well.
Doing a task, right? So I was so fed up that my assessor is talking to me. How will I complete it in 15 minutes? Because the objects were also movable, and the fatta we had, that plank, it was so
Mhm.
heavy, and I had to manage my two subordinates also. I was supposed to get them also out. So I got one of the way to take out two of us. So I came out, one of my subordinate came out. Then my last subordinate was left, and I was just having like 2 minutes. He told one of my subordinate to count till 120 seconds. So one of my subordinate was counting till 120. The time was going, and he already had deducted 1 minute because one of my subordinate touched the plank with the blue part. So I was given a penalty for that
Okay.
time penalty.
Okay, Siddhi.
But
Actually, only 1 minute is left in the meeting.
1 minute is left. Yeah.
So yeah, really thanks for joining us today. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty much sure that you will be surely meriting. And I wish you best of luck for your academic days as well.
Definitely. I like it.
Okay, yeah,
Get into
thanks for
forces in
joining.
any
Yeah,
way.
and one thing I have learned from you, if you are going to SSB, then prepare 360-degree. You are prepared for
Exactly.
everyone.
Like, don't leave anything, anything. Preparation is very must for SSB.
Okay, okay. Thanks for joining. Yeah, good night.
Yeah. It was pleasure having you. Thank you.
Yeah.